Good morning.
We're
We're back. How's everyone doing? How are the quilts coming? I know we were just talking this morning that we've seen a lot of really cool posts with completed parts that we've taught in different sessions.
Right, and I feel really bad if you're watching now and you were the person who posted that it was your first quilt ever.
Yeah.
Type in the comments, because honestly, I forgot your name.
I should have wrote it down
very early this morning. We should have wrote it down. But to think that somebody can take something like this, that they've never done a quilt before, and use our method in order to be able to make this, I think is amazing. And
it is.
What a fun experience that is. And I'm loving all the clotheslines. We saw a couple quilts come through. We're still seeing barns.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to work on the church, on the bottom half of the church. The steeple is a separate file, and they get joined together to make the entire church. And here's our little 5-inch sample of the church. There it is. So that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to show you how to stitch that out today. And no, I'm jumping ahead, but next week we're going to I will already have the steeple stitched out. I will show you how to pin the two together and where to sew the seam at, how to do the backing. And so we'll do all that finishing stuff next week too. So
we're moving right along.
We are moving right along, and hopefully you're keeping up. And if not, and you're saving it for later and life got in the way, that's okay. It'll always be there for you. But it's just, I love seeing the pictures of what everyone has done. I think that is the most fun part of doing a sew along.
And then we have Julie Ann says she got her clothesline box finished and she is started on her church.
Awesome.
Which is fantastic. And it looks like Diane, she said, I haven't been able to start yet, but she's finishing up socks for her craft fair this weekend. So she can start after that. That's for sure.
So there's two examples of what we were just talking about.
Hi, Joan.
Good morning, Joan. I'm going to head to the machine. Will you chat with people for a minute?
All right. Need to do the border and backing. Well, you're moving right along.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, there's always the replays available too. So if you haven't been able to start yet, or you just want to go back and watch one of the classes Annie did, they are in the guides section of our Facebook page. And they're also just on our YouTube. If you go to YouTube and look up Hoop Sisters, you'll find them there too. Okay, let me add your camera in.
Okay.
Haven't done that yet. All right, there you go.
All right, so we're at the machine here, and what you see I have on the machine is step 1 through 3. And I actually did use water-soluble thread, which we always tell you to do. It's like, do what we wrote in our instructions, don't do as we're showing you here. A lot of times we will use a colored thread so you can see exactly what's stitched. I came in this morning and I did use water-soluble. So our first step was just it stitched out a square, which is our placement stitch for the wool. This one, I did add our wool in on this block. And for the wool, just a reminder, on the wool, you will press the edges in about 1/4 inch so that it easily is able to, you're easily able to do the zigzag stitch without your presser foot getting caught. And then the other next step that it does is it sews a placement stitch over the wool or your battleizer if you're not using wool, so that you know exactly where your fabric's going to go. So I'm on step 4 already, and step 4, it says, I'm going to actually follow my instructions. How's that? For anyone who has never seen our instructions before, this is just kind of a taste of it. I don't know, hopefully they can see that. But it has a diagram and it has written instructions every step of the way. And we always underline the fabric used and the thread used. And what I did here is fabric 3, I just wrote the color of my fabric. And I did the same thing here for all the steps that call for a certain color fabric or a certain thread. And that kind of helps you not have to refer back to one of the previous pages. So our step 4 says to place fabric 3 right side up. Oh, my machine decided to take a nap. Press fabric 3 right side, place fabric 3 right side up, excuse me, And so the tack down stitches and the placement stitches using the same thread. And so we're going to do that. This is my fabric 3, and I'm going to lay it right over the top of that. And I always peek under, make sure I have equal amounts on both sides, and then equal amounts on the top and bottom. Nice thing about the wool is you can also kind of feel it. So I have water-soluble thread in there, and I'm just going to make sure your fabric stays nice and smooth as it stitches this out. And now we are going to, well, it's going to do a placement stitch for the door of the church. And then in the upper corners on left and right, we're going to go ahead and trim the fabric back for a 1/4 of an inch seam. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. Pull this out where I can get to it. And I'm going to use my hoop scissors. And I'm going to trim that approximately 1/4 of an inch on both sides. And I'm going to put the hoop back on the machine. And just remember, when you pull it out or off the machine to trim anything, make sure you're laying it on a flat surface. And by laying it on a flat surface, it's less chance of something popping out of the hoop or getting off of its registration mark. So our next couple of steps are going to be a stitch and flip for the roof area right here. I'm going to put a neutral color thread in the needle only. I'm still working with embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin. And so let me thread this with a different thread. And so I'm going to take my fabric, what's my fabric number here? Fabric number 12. For me, I chose this really dark charcoal gray, and I'm going to put it right side down, raw edges even for the corner of the block. And again, you're going to make sure you have about the same amount of fabric on the side as you do on the top, and then we're going to sew a seam. And then we're going to flip the fabric right side up. You're going to give it a little finger press, make sure it's smooth, and then the machine sews a tack down stitch. All right, we're going to trim this in a minute, but we're also going to just repeat the same thing over on the other side. So there's our seam, and the next step will be another tack down stitch. So I'll flip my fabric right side up, finger press, make sure it's smooth, and now it's going to sew a tack down stitch. All right, I'm going to pull this out now. So now is where we're going to trim it 1/4 of an inch seam once again. So I'm just going to lift this up, trying to do it so my hand doesn't get in the way of the camera. That's always I need a stunt man for that. Okay. So there it is, all trimmed up. So we have our little slivers for our roof. We'll put the machine back down, and now what it's going to do is it's going to do the corner of the sky right there. So that's going to be our blue fabric, or whatever fabric you're using for the background. Let's see, I'm trying to get you fabric number 5. So for me, it's the sky blue. Again, right side down, raw edges even, and sews a seam. The next step, it calls for fabric 7 up in this corner. So you would kind of think that maybe it would be the blue because it's the sky, but the church just happens to have a tree behind it. So we're going to take our fabric 7 and lay that right side down, raw edges even, and sew the seam there. Now the next step is going to require water-soluble thread, because what we're going to do is we're going to flip both of these right side up. We're going to give it a little finger press on both sides. I'm going to cheat just for time's sake. I'm not going to use water-soluble thread, but since this is going to stitch a tack down on the edge of your block at the top and on the corner, you're going to want to use water-soluble thread. And again, the reason for that is because when you sew this block to the next block, you don't want to have to, if you don't sew exactly on that basting stitch, you don't want to have that thread showing. If it does happen to show, then the water-soluble is better than a seam ripper. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to sew this tack down stitch. I'm just going to use that light tan thread. And I'll just make sure my fabric is laying smooth. All right, so then you're going to need your fabric 1, and this is going to be for the door. So I have a really cool piece of brown fabric here that looks like almost like an aged door. Let's bring this up a little bit so you can see here's your door. And then we're just going to lay this right on top of it. This is going to be appliqued on. And again, I like to check underneath. Make sure you leave enough at the bottom of your block. And it looks really good. So we're going to go ahead and stitch the tack down. You can see the church coming together. All right, now it's time to trim the applique. So I'm going to grab my little hoop scissors mini, and here I'm going to trim around anything on the inside of the block. I'll trim close to the stitching. This at the bottom side of your block, you're going to want to leave that, and because that needs to go into the seam allowance. So I'm just going to use my hoop scissors mini so that I can trim our applique. Okay, so we have that all trimmed up, and now it's going to sew the satin stitches to cover the raw edge of your applique. Well, this sews the satin stitch. If anyone has any questions about any of the blocks, I'd be happy to try and do a quick little Q&A here.
While you guys are thinking about questions, I do want to remind you that we have a virtual trunk show and semi-annual sale evening event. I know, it's crazy. We're going to be live at 8 p.m. Eastern. By the way, that's really close to my bedtime by the time it gets over here in Ohio.
Past mine.
So the evening events are a lot of fun. We don't do very many of them just because it's past our bedtime. I have 3 kids who get up and go to school the next day. Sarah's got little kids, young kids, so it's not always easy. And Annie falls asleep early. So the combination of all of that makes this a very rare occurrence, but we like to have a lot of fun. I don't think we're very straight-laced ever, but no. I feel like the evening events are a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. And we're just going to show you some really pretty things. There are no new things coming out during this event. So I think this is a nice time to maybe catch up snag one that you might have missed during previous workshops, and save some money. So this is going to be a really great event. Thank you, Nina. She's already dropped the registration link in there. And if you have any problems with that link, you can get a hold of Nina. We'll make sure that we get you registered. And when you register, you're going to get the cutest block. In fact, I'm going to go get it. It's on my desk. I'm going to go get it and hold it up for you guys.
You could switch the camera.
Yeah, I was going to say, after Annie shows you some more things, we'll show you that too.
My next step is we have our door applique down, but we're going to stitch some detail on there. So I'm going to put a little bit darker thread than what we were using, make it match your door fabric, maybe a little bit darker. So this is brown, so I'm going a little bit darker brown, and it's going to stitch a real cute detail on there. Whoops, hitting the wrong buttons here. So the step that will take place once the door is finished is some of the detail on the stained glass window. So I got a little bit adventurous and courageous and a whole bunch of adjectives I could add to that. And I had found in my stash a real pretty multicolored metallic thread. I would suggest that if you're going to try metallic threads, slow your machine down while it's stitching. Or you could use whatever color thread you want to. I'm going to show you, this is the thread that I chose. Choose a thread that is not exactly, hopefully they can see that, not super thick. So you're going to want one that's a little bit more thin, but just to give it a little bit of a sparkle. Looks like one of those older churches with a really 6-inch thick door that's super heavy to open, and I love that.
Loretta said she used a silver metallic thread on her church windows and the cross, and it looks beautiful. I bet it does.
Loretta, you have to post that in the group so that we can all see what you did. We like to see what other people do that are different, and it gives everyone a few more ideas of what they can do.
And Jane, I love your idea. We're probably not going back though. We got so many more things coming out, but she said, would it be possible for you to design some Santa clothes and hang them on the clothesline? That would be adorable. I wish you would have thought about that months ago before you even knew this was coming.
That would be, I thought about doing a bra, but I got to talk out of it, people. So.
No, I was on team no bra on the clothesline.
You guys are no fun.
Oh, goodness.
All right. We'll see how my thread cutter likes metallic thread. We're going to find out.
Yeah, Julie, that's a great idea too. You could always just use Christmas fabrics, and you could make them into Christmas PJs or something like that.
Me hitting wrong buttons again. It worked. Yay. All right. So now we're going to see some razzle dazzle and some sparkle. Slow that down a little bit.
You know, my dryer broke late last week, and I didn't even think about a clothesline. What's wrong with me?
You don't have one?
I don't, but I could have made something, right? Could have made it work, but I was like, oh no.
Or I like what you did. You just bought a new dryer.
I'm like, hey, whatever you can give me today, I'll take. Thanks.
With 5 people in the house, you need to have a dryer.
Yeah.
So I think this is just so pretty.
It is.
And we're going to work with vinyl today to put over the top of that stained glass window.
So this is the 3rd week, and again, it sounds like something scary. Vinyl. You know, we had barn doors, and then we had 3D clothes on the clothesline. Now today we're playing with vinyl. I think this is the perfect quilt to have a sew along for.
It is. And like the clothesline, and the lady who was making her first quilt, and some people thought the clothesline was hard, but it's just, once you know how, I think it takes the fear out of doing it.
Yep. Too windy and dusty by Julie to do a real clothesline.
Yeah, windy would be good, but not when it kicks that dust up.
Yeah.
This takes a minute to get this done, but it is so pretty. Hopefully the sparkle's coming across on the camera.
And Jane said she personally does not hang her unmentionables on the clothesline. So it's a good thing you didn't make a pretend one.
That's true. She would have skipped past that.
Yeah.
Would have been kind of tiny. Well, so are some of the socks, though, too. There is just a few more steps, no questions or anything like that.
Nope. No, I did see a question. Is there a giveaway today? And there is technically no giveaway today, but no live giveaway today. But this block is gorgeous. And she did 2 sizes. Looks like 5 and 8. 5 and 8 inch. And you can go get this for free no matter who you are. You don't have to be the winner. You can go grab this. Nina dropped the link. We'll have her drop that again so you can get registered for our upcoming semi-annual sale on October 24th. This is so cute. Yeah. And I love the colors you chose. Oh, but you said Canada.
Yeah.
So if you're in Canada.
Yeah, sometimes some of the Canadians might feel like they're kind of left out and we're geared towards more to people in the U.S.
But look at
that. If you do that,
maple leaf, isn't that's your thing, right? Yeah,
it'd be so pretty.
But I also like this kind of unexpected maroon with like the gold background, so you could really play with that and have some fun with it. And these would be fantastic gifts for people too, because they're really fast.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of quilting in there, no quilting in there.
And I'm thinking if you put 4 of those together, I mean, great technique. You said that while I was over here at the machine.
I didn't say that, but 4 of them together. Imagine this one's bigger.
Yeah.
This could be really, really cute. You could make a whole runner.
You could make a whole quilt.
We know you guys are going to do something creative with this freebie. So go get registered and grab that. So no live giveaway, but definitely got a free gift for everyone.
Yeah, it's a giveaway for everybody. Not just one.
Someone wants to see the back. So the back's, I think she just did a lining on this. So the back is just plain fabric.
Yep, and the lining on that you will do while it's in the hoop. It'll sew the seam for the lining. So you just lay the lining right side down on top of your block, and it sews the stitches, leaving an opening so you can turn it. So it's pretty easy. Okay, what I'm doing over here now is I'm threading with thread that matches my church fabric here in the background. So I'm putting white thread in the needle, and we're going to sew basically the siding marks that are on a church. Okay, so we'll start sewing those planks of siding back and forth on the church. Realize I can speed it up again. It still wants to go the same speed.
No more metallic.
No more metallic. How's that look on the screen? Can you see a little metallic-y shine?
Little.
Okay.
Not as nice as in person. It never is.
I am excited for the Thursday night thing, even though it's past my bedtime. Oh, it's going fast.
Yeah, speed demon.
Okay, then after it finishes with the white, I'm going to put black thread in the needle. It's going to sew some detail around the windows and also kind of a little, I don't know what it would be called, a little roof over the top of the barn. Is that called a portico? I don't know.
Over the entrance, not
over
the
the
barn.
entrance of the over the doors.
Little overhang.
Little overhang. So hopefully everybody's been busting some stash fabric out and putting it to good use for this.
An awning.
An awning, there you go. Overhang, awning.
Yeah, I agree, Loretta. She said the maple leaf has so many possibilities, from a mug mat to a table runner to placemats.
Yeah.
So, or if you're just brand new, just a block and you can make it a mug rug and just try it out. So
And I was thinking on the little smaller 5-inch one, if you could use the lettering on your machine and put someone's name on it and make one for everyone at your Thanksgiving table and lay it on their plate would be pretty cool too.
it would.
All right, now I'm going to switch and put the black thread in there. And I'm using black. If you want to use a brown or something, it's going to be entirely up to you. Okay, so we are set to go to do a little bit more detail on here. This little town and country quilt, it reminds me, seeing the church in the middle of the downtown street, reminds me of when you go to a big city and there's all these new modern sky rises, and right in the middle is this church that's probably been there for 200 or 300 years.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to see that. And the architecture is usually amazing. This looks more like a simple country church, but it's still really cute.
It is cute.
Okay, has sewn our awning.
Yep.
Now it's gonna do a little doorknob so you can get the church door open. Do some handles on the door. And now some window panes.
Has anybody else started their church? Good morning, Brenda. Loretta says it's a great idea to put the name on the maple leaf blocks for little placeholders. And Joni's doing hers right now.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we are done with the detail that is on the windows and the door. Now we get to play with some vinyl. Okay, so I have my vinyl here. For the 5-inch, you're gonna do a 5 by 5-inch piece. And you can see I have a piece of paper behind it. That way I know my vinyl's there somewhere, because if you don't, sometimes you just kind of lose it. So maybe even paper clip them together if you're cutting things out ahead of time. So now I can get rid of my paper. And I'm just going to place this. We're going to use the same thread, so we're still on our black thread that I'm using. And you're just going to place it right over the block, so it covers the entire block. And it's going to stitch around the windows. So I'm just going to hold it in place until it gets going a little bit, because it is a little bit slippery.
That's I like that, Cindy. Cindy said she remembers when she was little, her dad and some others painting the church door red.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, it's still red. So she's going to make hers red. Nice. And I think that's a great memory. That. And then Shannon, how fun is that? Shannon's last name is Maple. So she'll be stitching the word maple on her maple block.
Okay, so now all the vinyl is stitched on there. Now we're going to cut the vinyl out after the leaf comes out of the hoop, but it is going to do some stitching up here. So I'm just going to bend this over and just cut the vinyl so it's out of the way. It's going to do the background stitching on this, I'll call it the sky, for lack of better words, right over the top of that fabric 5. It's going to do quilting. And it does a little bit of quilting there because it also blends into the sky that will be on the steeple that will be above it. And that's our final step. And then I'll go ahead and take that out of the hoop and I'll show you how close to trim that. And this will just take a second. There's not much room there. So just remember to trim your vinyl out of the way. That's it. Okay, let's take this out of here. Little thread tail to cut here. Okay, so now as far as trimming your vinyl, I would trim it. I would probably say, I'm going to look at my instructions in case I actually told you in here, but you will trim it just maybe a 1/16 of an inch away from the stitching. And I'm also going to give you a tip to just you can take it out of the hoop now because it's finished stitching. And sometimes it's easier to trim that once it's out of the hoop. So I'm just going to go and trim this little round window up here. You don't want to get too close.
So
and
as soon as the vinyl is done, as soon as the step to stitch all the vinyl down is done, you're trimming it.
well, as soon as the step to tack down the vinyl is done, you need to trim the corner off.
Okay.
So it can complete the quilting in the corner.
Okay.
After it finishes this, then your stitching is done in the hoop and you can remove it from the hoop.
Okay.
And then that's when you can begin trimming it a little bit closer to where the stitching is.
Okay, so Julie said that isn't in the instructions. So we'll give that a double check to
Yeah.
make sure that we have it clear in there. But thank goodness for a video, because now you know. And I think the reason that she's using such a big piece of vinyl is because you're doing the lower windows as
Yeah.
well as that, yes, as well as that window, circle window at the top. So it just covers everything.
And it's easier to do that than it is to do 3 tiny little pieces. That way you know you're good to go. Because you don't want all that shifting around.
And then do you have a particular gauge of vinyl that you like working with?
No, I was really afraid somebody would ask me that question. I mean, this is a pretty thin piece of vinyl. Honestly, when I bought it, it didn't have a gauge listed on it.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be anything super thick, just something that gives it the appearance
Shine.
of a little shine where the windows are. So there you go. Oh, and it's got a little static electricity and doesn't want to let go of me. So there's our little church block. I think it's super cute. Gets even cuter when you add the steeple to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is our little church block. So
really
hopefully
cute.
everyone enjoyed that.
And then I also, someone asked, now we love all embroidery machines and all of our designs are multi-formatted, but Charlotte's asking what embroidery machine you're using.
The embroidery machine I am using is the Janome. It's the CM17. But like Aubrey said, it's multi-formatted. All the machines are wonderful. And I think this will stitch out great on any machine. The only thing you really need to watch for our designs is that, we have a 5-inch block for this and an 8-inch block. So if you have maybe an older model of embroidery machine that only has certain size hoops, just check your hoop sizes on your machine. And then that's why we have different sizes too, is so that usually the 5-inch, anybody can do a 5-inch block.
Okay. And then Cheryl said,
I'm going to come over there.
She purchased, girl, this is what I would have done too. She purchased the least expensive craft vinyl that she ran into, and it's the thinnest. And so there you go.
Yeah,
and honestly, I would think that thinnest would probably be best, just so you don't have it's not thick, right?
Right.
You want to have more thickness.
Right. One of the things I also want to warn everybody about, this vinyl is fairly close to the seam, and even this one too, that when you're sewing your blocks together and you go to press your seams, you just have to really watch where your vinyl is. So when you press it, you're going to make sure that you're not pressing right on that vinyl. It will melt, but just something to be aware of when you're pressing your seams is it's kind of like the clothesline where some of the clothes was kind of on an angle. Make sure they're out of the way. Well, when you're pressing, make sure you're not pressing real close to that vinyl.
Excuse me.
You need some water.
I have allergies. My allergy pill is not helping as much as it used to. So, okay. Anything else that we're going to talk about today?
Not today.
Well, then what are we doing next week?
Next
which is our
week?
last session, by the way, for this.
Next Monday, same time, same place. We are going to, I'll have the steeple stitched out and I'll show you how to pin those seams together, how to be careful, how to sew it, how to be careful where the vinyl is so you don't press on that vinyl. And then we'll show you how to back it. And we're just gonna back the little church section, but the same thing applies whether it's just one little section or if it's the entire quilt. So that's what we got on store for next Monday.
I popped Joni's comment in here because she's basically a hoop sister. She's been doing this a really long time. And so she knows her stuff.
Yep.
In fact, every time that we talk about battle or wool, the wool, and
Mhm.
someone says they're allergic, she's in the comments.
Yep.
You can use bamboo. So
Right.
anyways, this is what Joni's using. So give that a try. And then we had, I forget her name, Charlotte, I think, was using whatever the cheapest, thinnest one she could find. So if that helps at all.
We just
Thanks,
need a
Joni.
little shine so it looks like a window.
Okay.
All right.
What hoop size?
Oh,
You're doing the 5-inch
you're
block.
right. This is the 5-inch block. So I can't really give you what the name of the hoop is because it would be specific to the brand that we sew on.
Yeah.
But any machine that has, the block is actually 4.9 inches by 4.9 inches. So if you have a 5-inch hoop or a 5x7 hoop, you will be able to do the smaller size. And then the larger size behind us, those are 8-inch blocks, which are actually 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. And the
Just
reason
under.
that they're not exactly 5 and 8 is because the sewing machine manufacturers and the hoops that come with it, they'll call a 200 millimeter hoop. They'll call it an 8-inch block, but it's just under 8 inches. So that's why we make our blocks just slightly smaller and call them that. So that was a long explanation that probably.
Well, there you go. The more you know, right?
That's right.
We did not have a live giveaway today, but we are giving away the cutest maple leaf block. I just saw the question, is there a giveaway today? So I thought I'd throw this back up on screen.
They're all here for a giveaway.
I know. To be completely transparent with you guys, we have been slammed this morning and I didn't get to it, but we do have this free gift just for registering to attend our October 24th at 8 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So you can get this just for registering. It doesn't cost anything and everybody can get it. And we'll drop that link to get registered in the comments again. Sorry. And if you guys have any questions about registering or anything like that, you can get a hold of Nina and we will get you guys taken care of.
And here they are in person. They're just so cute. Imagine all the pretty fall colors that you could do with this.
Yes. Okay. Yep. The free maple leaf block, if you just go to our website, hoopsisters.com, it'll say semi-annual sale registration right at the top in the center. Click that and register. And if you are having any problems not seeing that, get a hold of Nina and we'll get you registered. And I think that's it. We have one more session.
We've completed another sew along.
Yeah. And I think it's been great so far. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot. I have learned a lot. A lot of these things looked very daunting.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What did you learn?
Well, I just mean like the clothes, for example, looked so difficult. Like how the heck do you do that? But it was so easy. You could just make the little clothes, cut them out, sew them on. Again, the barn door, just making it before you make the block and putting it together has been great. I did see someone say, do we have to use vinyl? And I wouldn't think so.
No, you don't. You could just skip that step. And you can skip it if you don't want to use vinyl.
Yeah.
So I get it. Sometimes like, it's a bit much. Don't really want to, but it's there if you want to.
Yep.
I was just thinking too on the clothesline that I think someone had used some denim.
Oh yeah.
Which looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or you could use shirts of somebody that's close to you, maybe that passed away, that's meaningful to you. You can have a lot of fun with it.
Yep. So you can make it personal, like your red door and whatever else. So, all right, you all, we will see you back next Monday again at 11 Eastern to wrap this up, talk all about backing, joining, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then you can put your quilt together. So keep going and keep posting your pictures in our VIP Facebook group. It's great to see those.
I know.
Annie said this morning, it's great because I know that I'm not just talking. We can't see you guys, right?
It's like anybody actually making this,
and they are, because we can see your pictures.
So don't be shy.
Post. Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.